gun pop, big gun Brian Petrie, giving out the lock. One is mortal, you know it won't miss. Gonna take a shot, dog lock, that's the underdog. Yeah, they in the hunt, send them home, that's KO or submission. Yeah, somebody done. Slime ball, yeah, that's the parlay. We gon' make it known. Pick 'em pie from MMA takes, yeah, let's get it going.
Yes, sir. Do not adjust your TV screens or YouTube screens or whatever screens. We got Evan Longoria here, future Hall of Famer. What's up, Ev? How you doing, bud?
I appreciate you. I appreciate you giving me that shout out every time I come on. You're manifesting it for me. So
that's 100% manifestation. That's what we're doing here. But now,
yes,
before we get into the fights, you get hammered with baseball stuff all the time. We're here to talk about fights. I got two little questions at the top. One does have to do with fighting. But the one question I had, this got brought to my attention today on Twitter. I tweeted out the gif of you catching the ball, saying I'm doing the podcast with a pure athlete tonight. I got hit up with some baseball heads going, yo, he might be signing with the Boston Red Sox.
Shit.
Has that ever been? That literally, they were sending me articles, bro. Like, look, hold on, I'll show you.
I was actually looking at. I was looking at some a couple of the guys that I played with. Yeah,
I don't even see that. It says
that guy's
Red
high.
Sox called perfect landing spot for Evan Longoria.
Hey, after being out of the game for a full year, like I appreciate that guy for thinking about me, and I think it's just because I actually haven't announced a retirement that people are still like, yeah, maybe he's coming back. Maybe he's coming back. And I'm not announcing a retirement here. I'm going to do it the right way at the right time. There's, I don't know if there is a right way. Like I probably should have done it a while back and not kept kind of holding on and keeping people holding on. But, no, I mean, look, if there's Boston is never a bad place to play. Like I always love playing at Fenway. It's just not for me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I obviously know you and know your, followed your and watch YouTube videos of you and stuff. And that's been your answer for a lot of things is your favorite place to play is Fenway, which looks incredible. Great American Ballpark, Terry Francona. I mean, come on down, Ev, come on down, but we'll watch fights together whenever you're off. Cincinnati, Ohio, babe.
Represent, baby. Represent.
That's right. The last question I have regarding baseball, and this is something I thought of today. In all-time history of baseball, I'm not a huge baseball head. I know some things in the history of baseball. In your opinion, since you're a fight expert, who's the toughest all-time baseball player? Because I watched Nolan Ryan knock out Ventura's teeth. Randy Johnson. I was at a game when Randy Johnson pitched for the Astros, where one of the Reds players, this is back in the early 90s, charged him out on the big son of a bitch. He intimidates me. You got Batista getting rocked a couple years ago by that dude who hit him. I think Gary Anderson got dropped last year. Who do you think pound for pound is just maybe not like, listen, he can't put in the cage, he might not know jiu-jitsu, but like just a scrappy fucking dude?
I mean, when you talk like about the history of the game and like the dudes that were like the most intimidating of all time, especially if you talk to the old heads, like now it might be different, but like Bob Gibson is the one name that like everybody is like, this dude, like you didn't even look at him out of the side of your eye or else he'd fucking throw one right at your head,
Wow.
So that's the guy that, comes to mind. The modern day game is different, man. There's not a lot of like, it's like most sports. You see like a lot of love between the athletes. Occasionally you'll have like, a little bit of beef here and there, but for the most part, it's more like on the field, team versus team beef versus like an actual dude hating another dude or like, I might say right now, like Tommy Pham is like up there, like that dude, like I played with him and he is a really awesome guy, but like he's also like down, he's also like he trains, he boxes, he trains, like he's scrappy, like, and I wouldn't look at him sideways. So, that's the guy like probably nowadays that I'd be like, if I got to put money on a dude like to go in a cage and fight, it might be Tommy.
Nice. I love that because I am one of the few MMA fans out of my friend group. A lot of guys don't understand fighting and MMA, and they just assume the biggest guy with the muscles is the one that can fight, and it's like that's not how it works usually. Usually those guys are gonna be tired after two punches. And if they're cooked. So I'm glad you picked a guy who's a thick boy, but he's not the biggest guy in the world. I asked John Anik that forever ago. He's obviously friends with Shane Victorino, who's a huge fan of the sport as well. And apparently he's got some training done too. I don't know Shane, but he seems like a good dude. All right, let's get into some fights. Enough baseball.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. Great card here. So my card that I got printed out is a little wackadoodle. The fights all jumped around. So we'll go from Tapology. We'll go from the bottom up. Tagir Ulanbekov. He is a minus 325 favorite versus Clayton Carpenter, who is plus 260. Undefeated Clayton Carpenter. I believe this kid's out of the MMA lab. So he's an Arizona product.
Arizona boy.
Arizona boy, good grappler, good striking, young kid, talented. Ulanbekov is interesting because he is a Khabib guy. He does train with those guys, but he's got phenomenal kicks, and his chokes are lethal. If Clayton jumps into something wrong, which coming from them in the lab with John Crouch, those guys are going to get these guys right. And Benson Henderson has a hell of a guillotine. So Ulanbekov's chokes are phenomenal. The number's wide. I want to take Clayton Carpenter.
I know.
I want to take him at this number, but Ulanbekov in camp with Umar, in camp with Islam, probably going to be the best shape he's going to be in his career. I'm reluctantly going to take the Russian here at minus 225. I don't think I'm going to play him money line. He's not a parlay piece for me. We're probably going to look at submission, even though I think that's kind of a shot in the dark because Clayton Carpenter, I think, is well-rounded. The submission prop's not up on DraftKings right now. But unless we get like plus 500 on the submission, I won't touch it. But I'm going to go to Tagir Ulanbekov, rooting for Clayton Carpenter, though. This might be a little too much. He's only 8-0, young kid. Do you know him at all with the Arizona stuff? You know him?
No, I don't. I actually sent a message to a buddy of mine, Bryce Meredith, who's a PFL guy.
Bryce Meredith.
I said, because I watched both of Clayton Carpenter's fights, and I said, he looks like he's a thick boy too. Like he's not small,
Right.
So I reached out to Bryce. I said, is this, what is this guy for real? Like he's looked really good in both of his appearances. Cardio looks there. Like he looks like he's the real deal. And Bryce said, I'm going to watch a little bit more of Tagir and see what he looks like. We want to study the film a little more, but I feel the same way. Like I literally wrote a couple of the same things down. Front kicks, combat sambo experience, obviously Eagles MMA for Tagir. Like I already put in a parlay. I took all of Habib's guys.
Yeah,
I just
smart.
feel like, it's just like, it's only plus 125 because they're all so heavily favored. But I just feel like,
though, bub.
and I just feel like, although I will be rooting for Clayton, Clayton Carpenter as well, Arizona base, all that. Like, it's going to be one of those things where if it goes Carpenter's way early, then like you look at the Umar Nurmagomedov fight, and then you look at the Islam fight, and like, how does it affect those guys? Like what's the psyche going on in the locker room? So, but I'm with you. For the pick, I'm with Ulanbekov as well.
Yeah, Russian, and it's nothing against Russian fighters. They're phenomenal. But if we don't start rooting for these Americans and we don't start backing these Americans, they're going to take over MMA, right? Like, for a betting and picking standpoint, I got to go Tagir. But I'm rooting for Clayton. And I might reach there. If he crosses plus 300, this kid's very good. He's not a plus 300 fighter, right? So I will definitely get there and throw a couple shekels on him at that point. Just right now, as a pure pick standpoint, we got to go Tagir. All right, next up, again, my sheet's a little messed up here. We got Ricky Tercios, which you texted me about this fight 2 weeks ago, which is very funny. Plus 260 Ricky Tercios versus Bernardo Sopai. He is minus 325. Sopai is highly acclaimed coming into the UFC. He got the Vincius Oliveira fight on short notice, took the guy to the third round, and Oliveira is an absolute fucking beast. Did the flying knee, which was incredible, but he took him there and on short notice and made a real fight of it. The only other two losses are decision losses. One, I thought he won outside the UFC. This is his second go around. And Tercios, man, this dude's scrappy, but he got bullied by a little boy his last time out. Shout out Hofas Rosas Jr. Listen, that's a little boy. You got bullied by a high school boy, and you got submitted for notoriously being extra durable. I really want to see what Sopai's grappling's like. He grappled a lot against Oliveira, but Oliveira is so tall, lanky, it's hard to take a dude down like that. Short notice as well, so you're not going to grapple as much because you're going to wear yourself out. I'm going to take Sopai. I hate the number again. Minus 325 is a little long for me. I think it's going to be a close fight because Tercios is always in these weird scrap him. He's never going to give up, unless you take his neck, and he's always going to be in it in the third round because he's not going to get tired. So that's a good plus money. But I like Sopai on the upside. I like him on the upside. I just wish we would get him lower. I think Vegas is on to us at minus 325. Those fucking sharps in Vegas are getting us. But give me Sopai. How do you see this fight?
Yeah, I wrote down a lot of the same things as well, but I also think like Sopai for me when I watched, I mean, I'm sorry, Tercios when I watched a couple of his fights, he reminds me a lot of Nate Diaz in terms of his
Okay.
pressure, just his forward pressure.
Doesn't ever back up.
It's a little bit awkward, the striking. He has a nice chin on him, like obviously he did get bullied on the ground a little bit by Rosas Jr., but and that's what kind of concerns me overall, and I think that's why the number is so high. Is that I thought Sopai's grappling against Vinicius was solid. Like when he got on the bottom, he kind of got ground and pounded a little bit, and I think he gassed later in that second round, and then in the third round, I think he was gassed, probably shortened. Hopefully it was based on the short notice take and not being fully ready with a full camp. I have Sopai as well. I wrote here, by sub with a couple question marks, just because I think there's a possibility there that if he, it might be that he stings him on the feet and it's either a ground and pound finish or he can, take his back and finish him with a rear naked choke or something. So, my pick is Sopai as well.
Yeah, if you're giving us, Vegas is giving us a big number, -225, a guy who hasn't won a UFC fight yet, they clearly see something. I mean, I know Tercius is coming out that ugly loss. Rojas Jr.'s a stud, right? He's a stud kid, but you got bullied by him, you got finished by him. He's not like a killer finisher, at least against elite guys. But with Sopai, this is going to be a big for him. A club and sub, he definitely clipped him. Tercius has great chin, but he has been put down before. He can get put down again, and we'll see what kind of finisher Sopai is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of pressure.
I looked up the numbers today. They're starting to come down a little bit. I mean, I see it as low as -290 for Sopai.
Which makes sense. Which makes sense because Tercius is the more name. Yeah, on DraftKings right here is -290. You're right. So yeah, I mean, 290 against -325, which I got yesterday. Money's coming in on him, which I like, and money's coming in on Tercios. They're trying to get two-way action, which makes complete sense. I do think it'll be a close fight. If Sopai doesn't finish, it'll be a close fight, and then if whoever has him on a parlay is could be gripping some cheeks a little bit there because that you lose that parlay on one leg, it is devastating. Yeah. Next up, Rinya Nakamura, who I am a huge fan of, -500 versus Mulan Gafurov, who is a +380 underdog. Rinya Nakamura, listen, this is what's so interesting to me is since I become a more MMA fan, I'm getting involved obviously in the gambling. I'm really paying attention to the wrestlers. You mentioned Bryce Meredith. I watched his debut in the LFA because stud wrestler. I'm like, this is a kid that can come in the UFC. He's obviously Bellator PFL now, but this guy can come to the UFC and be a stud. Bo Nickel, another one. Rinya Nakamura is an elite wrestler from Japan. And people who didn't pay attention to Olympics this year, Japan swept the fucking lower weight classes in wrestling, which is very rare. Their wrestling program is top notch now. Usually it's Russia, obviously America. You're looking at Iran. You got these Japanese guys coming in and wrecking house, especially the lower weights. And Rinya Nakamura is one of them. This kid's a stud. He's got power in his hands. He's going against another grappler, Mulan Gafurov, who I believe was training with Khabib for this fight as well. Huge number. Nakamura doesn't scare me in the least bit. I think he bullies Mulan here. I think he's a better wrestler everywhere. Yeah. I think the wrestling's going to cancel out. I think they're going to play on their feet. I think Nakamura, even though he pushes his punches a little bit for me, they're a little pushy, get a little more flowy, which is something that's going to happen. A lot of wrestlers, when they start striking, it becomes very pushy because in wrestling, all you're doing is push and pull and grab and whatever. Give me Nakamura. I would love a finish. Don't know if that's going to happen, but I see a complete domination. I might even play him the opposite point spread that people have for him here. Let's see the point spreads here. Of course, it's not available on DraftKings, but I usually play +3.5. That means if a guy wins a round, that's great. I see Nakamura winning 30-27. I'm going to go -3.5. Clean sweep for him here. I think he dominates. Very confident. Could be a mortal lock for me. Could be something I'm throwing in a parlay. It's a little too high for that, and he's a little too young. But give me Nakamura, give me the Japanese guy, and give me 30-27. But maybe even 30-26, Ev. I don't know. He's going to dominate that much? We'll see. What's your take, babe?
I agree. I think I don't see a path to victory for Gafurov at all. I actually think that Nakamura might get a finish in the first round. Ooh. Like I think that it's going to be one of those things where they're both kind of grapplers. But I wrote here that both guys like to chuck hands. Like if you watch their fights, like there's not if if one or the other gets hurt, I think they shoot for a takedown. They might shuffle around and look for a grappling sequence, but both of them like to exchange as well. And I think that Nakamura is just way faster, and even better on the feet than Gafurov. So, it might be a club and sub or something like that, but I actually do think that Nakamura can just put him flat out, which could happen in the first round. So
nice. Did you ever play? Did you ever represent Team USA in baseball anywhere? Did you ever do that?
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
a couple times.
Did you guys win gold and everything, or?
We won gold when I was in the minor leagues. We won gold in 2006 in a tournament in Taiwan, and then I played for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic in 2000. I didn't play much. I played one. I got one at bat, so I was like a late replacement.
Gotcha. I just wasn't sure if you were part of like the Olympic or style Team USA, because that's the thing about MMA fans, man. And I'm guilty of this as myself, is the USA guys, if another guy from Ireland, England, they come to Vegas, the crowd's chanting. I mean, they're nuts. They got the flags, everything. USA, that we don't do that much with fighters. We need to get behind fighters more. And because we do that with baseball, we definitely do it with soccer, because we're the underdogs in soccer. I can tell you, my close friends all played college soccer, so I've watched World Cup games, and it's fucking packed to the brim with USA. We're Americans at that point. But I like to see an American fighter really get rallied. I mean, you got Aljo who's getting booed, which is, I think, ridiculous. But that's for another time. Let's move on, Ev. You're killing it, by the way. Carol Rosa. She is where you at? Minus 250 versus Ailin. I think it's Ellen Perez. Plus 205. Perez likes to twerk a little bit.
Yeah,
she likes to shake that ass. It's not bad. It looks
That's
good.
not bad.
It's not bad. You look good doing it. But if you look at her record, she's got a very impressive record in the UFC, but she's beating okay people. And she just got to finish recently, which is good. That means she's involving. But Carol Rose is a bad bitch. She's been around for a while. She started kind of slow. And when I would watch her fight, it was like watching paint dry. Low output, low.
You're talking about Rosa?
Yeah, low output, 47 strikes here. Defending good takedowns and she didn't do anything last couple fights, so she's turned it on. She goes, I'm not doing that anymore. I got cardio. I got a full game. I'm going after you here. I like Rosa. That's slime ball cannon number 1 right there, bub. She'll be part of the slime ball. Evan, I don't know if you watch the show that much, people know BP is the guy that knows chicks, right? I know chicks. I'm putting my I know chicks stamp on this one. I love Rosa in this spot. Perez has a good wing streak going. She's going to twerk on stage. For all those people that want to watch her twerk, she'll twerk at the weigh-ins. You'll get to see that, you sickos. But in this fight, I think Carol Rosa is going to probably be decision her, maybe get a late third round TKO if Perez gasses a little bit. But Perez is a little too sporadic. She likes to mix everything up, and it's just she's not concentrating on one thing. She's not going to outstrike Rosa. She's not going to outgrapple her, and it's a little chaotic. She could get a fucking judge's decision. She's been on the right side of decisions before, but give me Carol Rosa. Give me the Brazilian. Give me Jiu-Jitsu. And I like her big hair. Minus 250 doesn't scare me at all. What do you got in the ladies, bub?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. You know, ladies. I don't know ladies. I'm not good. I usually just breeze right over the ladies fights unless it's like Zhang Wei Li or somebody like that.
Right,
but,
right.
I wrote down here. I said I wrote down Hosa's low kicks against Aldana were a huge factor. It was a great fight. It was a war. That was actually a really fun fight to watch. Yeah. I think there's a big clash of styles here. I mean, Perez is going to want to wrestle, in my opinion. I don't think she's going to want to stand and strike
for sure.
And I just don't think she's good enough to out wrestle and out grapple Rosa. So I mean, if I'm picking, it's Rosa. But I said I think that if she can get it to the ground, Ailin Perez might have a path to victory there. But I just don't see her being able to get it there. And I mean, the lock for me is probably a decision. I don't think there's a finish here. Take the over.
Over for sure.
I'm taking Carol Rosa.
Nice. And you say that, do you speak Spanish at all or Portuguese? Or
no, I listen to Ken Flo enough.
I was about to say, you say Rosa, great. I mean, I can't say it for the life of me, but yeah. Ken Flo, the guy has a million different impersonations. He can speak all these different, I mean, the guy's a fucking, I'm trying to get him on next week, because next week we're blank with UFC, just to get him to do something, because he does a really good Connor. I mean, the guy is multi-talented. All right, here we go. Zach Reese.
Yes.
My guy Zach Reese plus 195 versus Asmat Biakov, who is minus 260. This fight got switched around. Asmat taking this on short notice. Sequis Dumas pulled out, no reason, deactivated all social media. I know this guy's got some stuff outside the cage, lady troubles, whatever, but very weird how pulled out fight week and just dipped.
Is that what happened? Fight week?
Yeah, fight week.
Wow.
He pulled out Sunday. Sunday's technically fight week. Pulled out Sunday night when because all fighters arrive on Tuesday. He pulled out before he was supposed to travel and went dark on social media. No one knows why. Obviously, he's got some issues going on. I love Zach Reese in that fight against Dumas. I loved him. He was my slime ball candidate. Now he's plus money, which is interesting because this big fucking dude, huge for the division, got a great uppercut. Love his striking. He improves every time. He's really dangerous off his back, too. He's got great triangles and arm bars off his back, and he constantly goes for him. And what I like about him, I've seen this in previous fights, his cardio worries me, of course, because he hasn't been extended. Asmat Biakov, this dude's been in there with some fucking real dudes, right? He's been in there he's got an impressive record. Chris Honeycutt's a good win. He's got another good win over, I just watched that fight, Brian. Find it.
Yeah, Foxworth, Fernando, Budka, Valente.
Dylan Bucka, who's in the UFC. You got a split decision win over him. This dude's good, and he's taking on short notice, which means he's in shape, he's in weight. I'm still going Zach Reese. That plus money on the dude that can finish you on the feet, finish you off his back, has the submission skills, is enormous, has that fucking Kentucky waterfall hair. Buddy, I'm not wavering. I like Zach Reese. I can't put him in the slime because he's going against another guy. I don't believe this dude's Russian, Moldovan maybe. Either way, give me Zach Reese. Yeah, I'm not overly confident about it, but I do like the plus money next to his name. Big country Zach Reese. What do you got, bub?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I like Zach Reese just for the fact that like when and we're gonna get to it later in the card as well with the Reiner de Ritter fight. But when you watch that Reiner de Ritter fight, and that guy was obviously a stud coming from where he came from, like, and this guy's never Bekov never fought in the UFC, coming in on short notice against a dude with, range, power, skills everywhere, really. I mean, obviously he could get smashed on the ground. Like, there's no doubt about that. Like, with the wrestling skills I watched a couple of his fights on YouTube, and I mean, I think he gets caught and clipped early. Yeah. And like, this fight might, it might be, it might go to decision. It might be a grinder. I mean, if Bekov can find a way to get it to the ground, I mean, obviously if he can't sweep and he just gets smashed, then like that could be the path to victory. But I'm with you 100%. Like, I think that like some of these guys coming in from other organizations have not faced the skill level and the talent that's in the UFC. And that's no knock on the other organizations. It's just like what I was getting at with the Reiner de Ritter fight. It's like he fought Gerald Meerschaert and he took him to the brink, and this is a guy who couldn't be touched elsewhere. So, I like Zach Reese as well. I wish we could go a different direction at some point, and I'm sure we will.
I have a personal bet I want to make with you when we get there. Doesn't involve money. Hopefully we can split and we can get to that. But you're right. Listen, I will disrespect other organizations. Listen, this is the UFC. This is the fucking premier division. If you're not fighting in the UFC, you can't claim to be the best in the world. Sure, you got to get your lumps and you got to get your rounds in elsewhere. But this is the fucking show. You know what I mean? Welcome to the show. Yeah. This is like, playing baseball in fucking Alaska or whatever. I know it's in America, but
100%,
it's a whole
100%.
different level, right? And Zach Reese has been there, and his knockout of Julian Marquez. I'm no proclaimed an incredible striker, but I've been boxing since I was 18, so 20 years now. That lead uppercut that he clipped him with that put him out was unreal. That taller guys like to hit. And it's incredible. And a guy like Bekov, who might be shooting for takedowns, you got to watch that. And he also throws really good knees. I like Zach Reese at this plus money. Too good to pass up. I'm glad we're agreeing. We'll differ. I mean, the main card's where the meat and potatoes are at.
Yeah. The Cody Brundage fight, was that an injury or did he actually get clipped?
He got his foot caught on a kick. Cody took him down. Zach locked up a triangle. It was tight. And Cody's
he got slammed. Boom. Yeah, he got slammed.
Back-to-back slam knockouts on that card, which is
that was my other guy.
Yeah, Selecki got slammed, and then
Dre.
Yeah, and then Zach Reese. All right, here we go. Grant Dawson. Right. Now we're getting into some thicky boys. This is a good fight. Grant Dawson minus 290 versus Diego Ferreira plus 235. I'm so glad we picked a lot of these fights in the Anakin Florian. It's not out yet. I think it's coming out tonight. So at least I'm not tipping my picks to anybody. I love Diego Ferreira. I love him in this spot, this plus money. This dude's coming off a 2 knockout win. He does have good grappling. Grant Dawson worries me with his chin. He looked phenomenal his last time out, but that was against Rafi Garcia, who can be bullied. Ferreira, I keep saying Ferreira. His 2 losses, Gamrot and Gregor Gillespie, heavy wrestling dose, got him tired.
Yeah.
I think he learned from
that. And he lost to Dariush before that too.
Dariush, yeah. He's going to get taken down a lot. He's going to get his legs taken, shot on a lot. He's got to be ready for that. I think he's training full time. I think years ago, he was making like a 4-hour trip in Texas, training, going back home. I think he lives where he trains now, which is incredible for him. And I think he has real talent, real power. And I'm just worried that Grant Dawson's going to run into something like that. Now, if this was a closer line, I think Grant Dawson will win. I think he's probably a little more well-rounded, gets him in the ground, wear him out, cardio elite, all that. But when you're hanging plus 235 and a guy like Diego, who I think is elite, and he's fought really good competition, whether he's lost or won, he's fought some really good guys. Give me Diego here at this enormous plus money. I couldn't believe it was this high. And just to let you know, Kenny took Diego too, which is surprising. But yeah, I'm on Diego here, bud. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't know. This is a I think it should be more of a coin toss. I agree. Yeah. I initially leaned towards Grant Dawson just because of the forward pressure. I think Ferreira's gonna be fighting a little bit more on his back foot. I don't know if the pressure is gonna be there. But also what gives me pause is just the fraud check that he gave Mateusz Rambetsky his last fight. I mean, he really put it on him, and a guy that I think a lot of people thought was like really on his way up to the top of that division. So, I mean, Grant Dawson oversized, but he's really oversized for the division. Younger. Usually I like to go with the more youthful guy in the lower weight classes. But the skill level, obviously, of Diego Ferreira in his last fight shows that he still has the ability to go, 3 long, hard rounds. But I'm going to go with, this is going to be our first opposite pick. Okay. I'm going to take Grant Dawson here.
Smart.
Obviously don't like the money. Don't like the line. I wouldn't probably take it straight up. I think it's a good parlay piece. But like you said about the other fight, it could be, there could be some ass clinching later in that, second round, should it get to that point, because I do think as the fight goes on, like same way with the Rambetsky fight, like you could see the tide kind of turn there. It was like Ferreira's confidence started to go sky high, and Rambetsky was getting banged up. His eyes were all, he could barely see out of his eyes. And so it's like, if that happens and he starts to gain that confidence again, then the fight could go the other way. But I see Dawson taking control of the fight early on and kind of having his way with Ferreira.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely could happen. Grant Dawson, you were mentioning his size. This dude used to fight at 45, which I don't know how. When he was in Kansas City under James Krause, he was at 45, which is crazy. He's enormous for 55. I loved his promo he cut. He talked about how great his ass, his wife had a great ass, which I love. I mean, the guy is confident. He's with the right team. I heard he's like the greatest teammate. Like, he is a team guy. And again, this is not an American that you want to root for. But again, I'm a gambler. I'm a savage. So I'm going to go the plus money here. And Grant Dawson getting knocked out essentially by a jab from Bobby Green worries me. And he's been clipped before, and he's slowed down before. It's been a while. I mean, the Bobby Green fight was only like 3 fights ago, but Diego Ferreira can fucking crack. And so we'll see. That's an interesting fight, though. The number to me is a little out of whack, so I'm glad we're split on that. That could decide this thing, but I had to take a shot on him. So we're moving on. This is the fight that I think stinks. We can cruise through this one. Bogdan Guskov. He is a minus 310 versus Billy Aina. Neither guy really blows me away. I'm going to take Bogdan. I think, the Russian Anthony Smith, it has big power. Billy Aina just plays.
That's such a great call.
I mean, he looks exactly like Anthony Smith.
He does.
Russian, though, right? A little meaner. He's got big power, but he's also not the most well-rounded guy. His striking's really pushy. It's a little wild. Aina, taller guy. He's 6'2" and long, but Bogdon is 6'3". Has a longer reach than Aina, but Aina in the PFL, the fights I watched, just your average guy taking on short notice. He's Samoan, so which means he's going to be tough as nails, which they all are. But I see Bogdon winning this fight, minus 310. I have no action in this fight. This is going to be maybe let me order my dinner type fight. Let me check on the kids type night. I hate the shit on the fight. I liked it better when it was Bogdon versus think of it, Brian. Bogdon versus.
Is that another
Johnny
late
Walker.
change?
Johnny Walker.
Oh, it's supposed to be Johnny Walker.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
Johnny
he broke
Walker.
his foot or something, right?
Because both of those guys either one would have got put out in the first round, then we move on.
Without a doubt.
Because Johnny Walker has no chin. Bogdon has been knocked out before. Give me Bogdon. Let's not spend too much time on it. You give your breakdown. Tell me who you like.
Yeah. No, I agree. I watched a couple of Elikana's fights. I don't even see a way that he wins the fight, to be honest with you. Like, maybe he gasses him. Like, maybe he tries to wrestle him and
sure.
But I mean, the only like Elikana doesn't even look like again, Samoan, you're 100% right. Like, and we should be rooting for these USA guys.
Sure,
but I mean, there wasn't even any like big like knockouts that I saw, in the PFL. Like, it's more like volume striking, like touching guys, and at these higher weight classes, like, you gotta have one punch knockout power, and I think that Guskov has that. Maybe he doesn't put this guy out because he has better, there's some movement and he gasses in the second round and he ends up winning a decision or something. But I think this is pretty close to a lock for me too with Guskov.
Yeah, I mean, Elikana, he every time I watch him fight, I watch 3 of his fights. He's fighting not to make a mistake, right? He's fighting to try to fight perfect, and he's not perfect, right? His wrestling's not perfect. His striking's far from perfect, but he's trying to fight, and he's young, so I get it, but he's trying to fight not to make a mistake. But against Bogdon, this is a guy who's going to throw right hands at you from his hip, right? That's not perfect. No one's going to teach you that.
Yeah, no.
If you're not ready for it, you're going to get clipped by it, right? So I like Bogdon here. I'll probably play him by knockout. I don't love minus 310. He won't be a parlay piece for me or anything like that, but yeah, I might search for that knockout price if I can find it. I don't think DraftKings will have it up because it came together late. Let me see. Yeah, it's not up yet. He's at minus 305, so he's coming down a little bit from your minus 310. All right, we move on here. We got Jailton Almeida, the jail man, minus 425 versus Sergey Spivak, plus 330. Couple heavyweights here. Almeida, man, listen, I was high on this guy. I still am high on this guy. I think he's a little bit soft, though, right? I mean, the guy's ripped as shit, but I think he's soft. He got put out by Curtis Blades with a weird shot. He's been hurt before. He's been knocked out before he got in the UFC. He was supposed to be a 205er that now is a heavyweight, which I think is the right weight class for him. But his game is the exact game of Sergey Spivak. Sergey Spivak's not great on the feet. He wants to get you down and hammer you. How's he off his back? Because I think Almeida's more athletic, and I think his jiu-jitsu's better, and I think he's going to get Spivak down. I don't think Spivak's going to be fucking Nogueira off his back or prime Frank Mir. I think he's going to lay there, try to work to his feet. It ain't going to happen because Jailton Almeida's jiu-jitsu's great. His positioning's really good. I wish he would implement more strikes because he lets guys off the hook a little bit. Like, you could fucking rain down a little bit. He's looking for the perfect submission. Because he goes in preconceived, like, I'm going to get this guy's neck. When you don't, then you got a 5-round fucking snooze fest with Derek Lewis, which your stock goes way down. I'm going to take Jailton here. I don't like minus 425 for heavyweights. Spivak obviously can land something, but I just think I don't know how Almeida loses besides just a complete collapse from him. So give me jail, man. What do you got, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, I like Almeida. Almeida was on kind of a fast track. I mean, he fights Rosenstrike, he fights Derek Lewis, wins them both. This obviously the boring fight with Derek Lewis. Then he loses on a weird. What did he hit him with, like a weird uppercut on a shot, right, and then knocked him out or something like that?
Are you talking about the Curtis Blades fight?
Yeah.
It was punches to the side. He was going for a takedown. He wouldn't let go of the takedown, and Blades' hands are this big, so he goes bink, bink, and knocks him out. It's like, let go of the fucking takedown, dude. You get in the head.
And then he beats. I mean, he had a pretty convincing win against Romanov his last fight. He took his neck and subbed him. But for me, like, this is another one that I think should be, in my opinion, should be closer. Like, I 100% agree that Almeida is the more athletic fighter, but like Spivak has had some, he's had some pretty impressive wins as well. Let's look real quick. Marcin Tybura subbed him quick. He lost to Cyril Gahn. But then Derek Lewis, he beats him by sub, and Sakai.
Augusta Sakai, yeah.
Then he just slept Greg Hardy. I don't know. I mean, Spivak, I think I think we're discounting his athleticism because if you remember that armbar that he hit from the bottom against Tybura,
he's getting
was pretty
better
nasty,
for sure.
So I think there's some skill there. Yeah, I think there's some skill there. I do worry about the difference in level of the ground game, right? Like, because there are levels to that shit, and Almeida is clearly kind of a specialist on the ground in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, but I'll go Spivak. What the hell,
this guy's got balls.
Let's let it ride. Like,
I tell you what, dude,
I'm also 2-0. So I meant to bring that up. Kenny Florian hasn't beat me in the 2.5 years I've been on that podcast. I can't beat Longoria. The first time you were on, it was close-ish. Last time you blew me out of the water. This is 3-point swing right here if you get Spivak. And even though I'm a big boy, the heavyweights are my weakest area. I can't pick a fucking heavyweight fight right. I like Jailton Almeida by finish. On DraftKings, I actually have a prop by KO plus 275, which, again, he doesn't really do much ground and pound. So submission plus 110. I'll probably play him that way to cut that minus 425. That's just too big. But I'm glad we're mixing it up here, baby. It could be it really could be like a good double chance sub bet too. I don't even know if that's possible, but to either guy to finish by sub. Because I don't. Yeah, okay. I think if the fight ends, it's probably going to end in a sub. It's not going to end in a knockout or something like that. I ground and pound. I don't even know if that's possible.
I'm sure that, So the submission prop, the exact method of victory, just someone winning by submission on DraftKings is plus 100. So
they basically think that,
you're doubling your money. People think that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, listen, you're playing both sides there, and you're shaving off a dime. Plus 110 Almeida and cover your bases, get plus 100. I mean,
probably not.
It's probably a better bet. All right, so Peyton Talbott.
Hey, by the way, shout out. Thank you, brother. Appreciate the gift. Yeah, I actually wrote in it.
I love it.
I wrote a bunch of notes in it, so thank you.
Shout out for the gift. You and I are the same age. I don't know I love technology, but when I need to remember something, I write everything down. I keep all my bets and notes in here. And I was like, well, I'm going to give gifts to all the guys that came on my podcast. And I thought of that. And thank you. Thank you for appreciating it. And thank you for being on the podcast. We got Peyton Talbott, though, bub, minus 1,200 versus Hani Barcelos.
This is when it gets really good, man.
Yeah,
this is when this card gets really good.
750. I'll be shocked if you take Barcelos. I'm high in Peyton Talbott. I am high in Peyton Talbott. I like this guy's mental. I like how he thinks, and I like how he's approaching the game. He's not. Some people will call him arrogant, which maybe there's a hint of that, but he's cocky and he's confident, which you need. You need to be a confident, arrogant prick when you're fighting other men in the cage. At least be that through training camp. I think that's not be mean to people, but fucking know that you got it. This kid knows that he's got it.
God, and he's so young, too. So young.
Long range weapons, has power. He's got the shots that are just right on your chin that puts you out. Barcelos is not getting any younger. He's got some wrestling chops. I believe he's like a Brazilian something, which I don't know how much that means, but he can grapple a little bit. I don't think he's sniffing a takedown over Peyton because I think Peyton's takedown defense is very good. I also think his footwork and his overall speed is phenomenal. I think Barcelos is in a world of hurt here. Now, of course, the number is enormous. How are you going to play this? I think you got to go round one knockout with Peyton Talbott to get any kind of money to looking good here. You want to risk something here. So fight parlays. Peyton Talbott to KO round one plus 240. That's how I'm playing this fight. I'm going to attack it that way. Plus 240 round one KO. Umar shut the lights off on Barcelos. I know that was a kind of a unforeseen shot. Umar's not like the biggest power guy. But if you connect on Barcelos, he will go out. And Peyton, I think, is special. You're getting a big number. We're chopping that. We're getting plus money. Plus 240. Plus 240. Peyton Talbott by knockout round one. Put in your books. What do you got here? What do you got? I know you like your boy Talbott.
Yeah, I do, 100%. But my only concern is, I always feel like with fights like this, right, it could go one of two ways. Raoni Barcelos, obviously, getting up there in age, against a guy like Peyton Talbott, where obviously everybody knows that Peyton Talbot's going to try and get a finish, right? Like he's trying to make a name for himself. He's climbing his way up the ranks. Like he's making, he's putting stamps on wins. Obviously, like he's been very impressive. Barcelos, sometimes guys like that, they want to make it through the first round. That's my only concern is like,
I got you.
It's almost a win, like it's a win to go 2 or 3 rounds against a guy like that. And then maybe it gets them like another contract. They become like this gatekeeper guy, or like whatever. So that, do I think that Talbot gets a finish 100%? I don't know if it happens in the first round, the second round, third round. Like, I think that Talbot's cardio, like if you go back and watch I actually watched Peyton Talbot. I don't know if it was his debut against Nick Aguirre.
Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I know who you're talking about though. Yeah.
But let me see real quick. Yeah, so that was his debut at the Apex. He fought on the Contender Series before that once. But like he kind of got like bodied up a little bit on the ground in the first round, and it was a pretty grueling first round. Aguirre or Aguirre, he had pretty good control of him and then kind of gassed out, and Talbot's cardio looked awesome, so that doesn't concern me at all,
Right.
So if it goes 2 or 3 rounds, like I think Talbot is 100% dedicated to the game. Like I love his style. I love his like measured approach. Like he's not like balls to the wall, he finds a shot, and when he finds it, he puts guys out. So whether it's a club and sub or, another 1-punch knockout or whatever it is, like he's getting a finish. I'm confident in that. I'm with you. I don't know how to play it, but I am going to take him to win.
Yeah. So each round, it increasingly your odds get better by finish. 330 round 2, and then plus 400 round 3, all by KO. Don't see him submitting Barcelos, but I like this kid. I like him because each time from the Contender Series to Aguirre, he's getting better. And he's showing me that this dude's in the gym, young kid, and he's getting better. He got a knockout round 2 last fight, or 2 fights ago. Comes back, gets knockout round 1 against legit guys, the guys who are pretty good. So yeah, I like this dude a lot. 1,200 steep, right? But I think we have a future contender in this division for sure in front of our eyes. And initially he was low on the card. I'm glad they bumped him up. He's the fight right before the main card. Let's get into the main card here. The meat and potatoes. Kevin Holland minus 115 versus Renner de Ritter. He is a minus 105. Renner de Ritter has fought all over the world. Incredible record, 18-2. Made his UFC debut against Jeremy Scott. Got the submission win. Kind of a sloppy affair.
God, it was a grinder.
Grinder, got the submission, cashed me some money. Thank you, de Ritter. But his wrestling isn't great. And Kevin Holland's wrestling defense usually isn't all that great. His jiu-jitsu's pretty good, but he gives up takedowns to play the guard, and his cardio isn't elite. It's better at 85. De Ritter's a big, strong guy who gets a lot of people down with sloppy takedowns. Kevin Holland knows I need to wrestle, and I need to stop this guy takedown because he's hittable. I can piece this dude up on the feet.
He is hittable, 100%.
He's very, very hittable. He's been put out before. He's got a good chin. His prior career in the UFC all over Europe, he was getting knocked around, but again, he's got that dog in him. He's got that hunger in him. He'll get second, third round, fourth round, fifth round finishes. Obviously, this is only a 3-round fight. But something tells me, again, there's levels. UFC's the show. Kevin Holland's been the show for a long time. I like Kevin Holland at this low number. I like him by knockout as well. I think if he gets it done, he's got to get it done within the first or second round. You cannot let this guy hang around because third round, I'll be fucking nervous because the Ritter will be looking for submissions. All he needs is one takedown. His head and arm is great. All his chokes are great. His back take's really good. His pressure on top's very good for being a long, skinny guy. He uses all the leverage to his advantage. He doesn't look like the strongest guy, but from my experience, those guys are usually the fucking strongest guys to deal with. And he's got great technique. It's just on the feet, he's a liability. Give me big mouth, dude. I like Kevin Holland. I think he's going to get it done here. What do you like?
I love Kevin Holland here too. And it just seems like these are the fights that Kevin Holland wins, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's almost like I think we said it maybe last time we talked, or we might have just been texting about like fights that Paul Craig wins. It's like fights that like nobody like thinks, it's like, oh, he should not win this fight. Now, I think Kevin Holland should win this fight, and I think he will. I mean, we go down the list of the guys that he's fought. Like, obviously, he's lost 3 of his last 5, but Chiesa, JDM, Venom Page, Olachechuk, Dolidze. I mean, these are dudes that are like established UFC veteran dudes who like are high level guys. He's fought on huge cards. He fought in Noche UFC 299, 302, 307. I mean, huge. Like, the guy's been one of the. I mean, he got hurt in his last fight, which was a rib or something, right? That he ended up losing to Dvalishvili.
Just a big, strong bear. It was a weird, awkward exchange. He broke his. I think he pulled his rib out or something, and then he went and continued to fight, but then it was just too much. I can't imagine how bad that hurts.
So, I mean, yeah, like that, you know, whatever, that's a loss is a loss, right? But it's one of those ones where, you know, maybe if he doesn't happen, you know, he can find a win or a finish there. But yeah, love Kevin Holland. I feel like this is it's not really a coin flip for me. I think he wins it. Obviously, Reiner to Ritter can grind on him 100%. Like, maybe he wears him down, and I think Kevin Holland is going to need to be more proactive in preventing the takedowns as opposed to just letting them happen and trying to get, you know, something going off his back. So hopefully, and I'm sure he has been working wrestling in camp, you know, wrestling off the wall and, you know, figuring out how to dig underhooks and prevent the takedown as opposed to just kind of giving it up and, you know, trying to work from there. So this is a guy that I don't think you want to work off your back against. Right. But I like Kevin Holland to find a finish too, like on the feet. I think it could be one of those fights where he puts him down a couple times and just lets him get back up, you know, because I don't think he's going to go to the ground with him. He might just stay standing and keep beating him up on the feet.
I love it. I love that you said love, right? When a guy says I love and it's minus 115, basically a pick 'em. I highlighted Kevin Holland. I underlined it. That is something, because I wasn't as confident as you. I'm confident in Kevin Holland, but I like that you're confident. Him by KOs plus 185, by submissions plus 700, which kind of tingles me a little bit because obviously I don't think he wants to play on the ground with the Ritter. The Ritter is very arrogant when it comes with his submission game or whatever. He's never been submitted. Kevin Holland's got some chops in jiu-jitsu. He's got those long arms. Darce chokes are legit with Kevin Holland. Be interesting. I don't know if I'm going to get there. Maybe if I'm feeling really good on Saturday.
Yeah. It would need to be a club and sub 100%. You need to be really hurt.
If I'm having a great card, that plus 700 is going to look great. But right now, I'm going to probably lay off it. All right, next up fight. I'm looking for all these fights in the main card. But Benny Dariush, Benny D plus 170 versus Money Moicano. He can't afford to lose. Renate Moicano
can't afford to lose.
Minus 205. He's become a huge star. I will personally root for Renato Moicano. I think the guy's awesome. I love that he's very. This kind of bothers me again. I brought this on my podcast before. People, again, the American situation, right? There's like someone will be born in America and they're like, hey, my half cousin was Lithuanian, so I'm gonna wear Lithuania on my flag on my pants. It's like, what's going on? Renato Moicano loves Brazil, respects Brazil, but always talks up, hey, listen, I'm giving my kids a great life in America. I love that shit. I love that he's doing that. I mean, I love the people that want to come here and make a name for themselves, and he has done it. He is phenomenal. However, Benny D gets it done. You're sleeping on Benny D. Benny D's takedown offense is legit. He's on a 2-fight skid against elite guys. Moicano's chin is a little question. Benny D's chin's a little question. If these guys slug it out, I like Benny D's power. If Moicano can somehow get it to the ground, he's so heavy on top. He's so sticky. I don't know what he does. I've rewatched his fights. I've tried to see why guys can't get up off him. I'm like, why aren't these guys really trying to scramble to get up? He's got great submissions, but this dude is probably so fucking heavy on top. It's literally like a 100-pound weighted blanket with really high-level technique. It amazes me every time. Again, rooting for Moicano plus money on Benny D where no one's respecting him. They're both the same age. Benny D looks like he's 50 with the grays and stuff, but they're the same age. I like the power on Benny D, and I like him by knockout as well. I'll probably, if I'm good at play it, I'll play it by knockout. Let me find that number for everyone here. Plus 450. 5-1. Yeah, I'm doing it, babe. Benny D by knockout, and I'm hoping you go opposite.
I love it.
Let's see what you got, bud.
I love the call. I mean, I just think I am going opposite 100%. I'm with the money, man. I think Moicano is just riding too much of a high right now. Obviously, like I know that Benny's like his mental is where it needs to be. Like this dude is a veteran. Like he's been in the cage with some of the best. But I mean, 4-fight win streak from Moicano. He's fought a couple of, Jalen Turner, Benoit Saint-Denis. Obviously, the last fight, Benoit Saint-Denis, like, you think about that fight, like, it it got a little bit dicey at the end because Benoit was still in that fight. He just couldn't see, like
his eyes are
so.
fucked,
And
right.
and it was a 5-round fight that got stopped in third. Like, who knows what happens in the fourth and fifth, right? Like,
right.
But God, was he dominant in the first? I mean, that was one of the most dominant rounds of the whole year, I think.
Sure.
I think he's riding too much of a high. Like, it's not a crazy number,
It's a good number. I think Vegas
minus 170. Yeah, this is a really good number. I mean, Benny was at one point number 3 or number 4 in the world. So the dude is legit.
If he was maybe a little more competitive against Charles Oliveira, people would be talking about him. But he's dropped 2, and he wasn't competitive either of them. Arman Tsarukyan put him out. I think he just woke up 3 weeks ago, and then Oliveira bullied him around. So. But yeah, he was right there. He was getting disrespected left and right. But he hasn't made it there yet. I think this is a big fight for him.
Yeah. Well, we're opposites, and I'm looking forward to that one because it'll be a fun fight. I think Moicano secures the takedown early. And it's an easy fight for him.
So glad that we're opposite because I have a proposition for you. Obviously, you don't have to take it.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it.
I don't know if you're gonna.
100%.
It's not money related, and I don't really have the full bet planned out. So you're going to have to help me with this. I'm glad I'm on the underdog side because I didn't want to fucking have you on the underdog side and I'm taking advantage of it. You own or co-own or a part owner of a restaurant called Ducky's. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
In Tampa, right? I've never been to Tampa, Florida. I've never, but Ducky's looks great. I looked at the menu, right? And it looks phenomenal, right? The one thing you're missing on the appetizers is a chili. Right?
Okay.
A good old hearty bowl of chili. I'm from Cincinnati, the chili capital of the world. Doesn't have to be Cincinnati chili. I make a mean batch of chili as well. If I win this fight, I think there should be a Petrie chili on that menu. What do you say?
We can work that out. We can work
out.
Maybe a once a week special or something.
Once a week special, Petrie chili. I'll even fly to fucking Tampa to have it. To go to Ducky's. Looks like a great establishment. And then on the other side, if you win, whatever you want, right? Whatever. I don't care what it is. You think of it, I'll tweet it out, I'll Instagram it out, we'll have the deal there. But I'm like, I was looking at this menu and it's chili season right now. It's cold here in Cincinnati. I'm like, this Ducky's looks amazing. There's a Longo pizza. Everything looks phenomenal. I want to go there. I wish I was close. I'm like, they need a chili. They need a fucking chili. And I'm a chili man. Favorite for the entire world. So let that marinate. We'll talk about it.
That's an easy deal. Easy deal. We can make that happen, but we'll figure out the other side of the bet.
Yeah, think of the other side. The other
you got to bet, though.
We got to bet. Awesome. Let's move on to probably my favorite fight of the night, if I'm being honest with you. I think this is pure violence. Yuri Prochazka, minus 108 versus Jamal Hill, minus 112. I love the 205 division when it's popping. When I came into MMA, when I really became obsessed was UFC. The first UFC I ever ordered was UFC 42 because Rich Franklin, who's a teacher of mine, was on it. But UFC 50, 52 was when I really, I haven't missed one since. Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, all 205ers. They carried the torch. 205 has seen some better days. Now we're back. We got Poatan, who's a fucking beast. The Khalil Roundtree fight was amazing. Now we got these two guys chomping at the bit. You got Ankalaev, who's forgotten, but he's a fucking stud. You got Jan Blachowicz from the cloud saying, hey, I beat Poatan. Let me get in there. These boys are violent, right? Yuri stayed in darkness. He did the Aaron Rodgers retreat. The guy's a nut. Jamal Hill's picking fights with everyone online. Challenging everyone to $10,000 bets here. Come spar me. He challenged Poatan, and Poatan threw the gloves. Let's spar. Like, the dude's got a chip after losing the Poatan fight. He got hurt again. I think he hurt his knee. I don't know how healthy he is. Hopefully he's healthy because we haven't really seen him. But I love this fight. And it's a very unique contrasting styles because Yuri has no defense and he throws strikes at weird angles. And he's a wild fucking man, right? He'll probably go for some takedowns of Jamal Hill. We haven't really seen Jamal Hill off his back. Takedown fence has held up so far. We haven't seen a lot of it. Glover did, and he stuffed it. I don't know if Yuri's going to have as much success, but Yuri is a big dude. Jamal Hill's got really clean boxing, really good check left hooks, really good straight right hands. He's a good tricky southpaw. People are sleeping on Jamal Hill because I think the public perception of him has turned a little bit. I don't think people love him as much as they did. He is now a little bit of a favorite from when I picked this fight earlier in the week. I thought he would go the opposite way. People actually are putting money on Jamal Hill. He's now a minus 130 favorite. So it was a pick 'em. I thought he would dip in the plus money, but people are putting money on Jamal Hill. I'll tell you right now, I put fucking $1,500 on him on the Anakin Florian. I'm rocking with Jamal Hill here. Sideball candidate number 2. I love Jamal Hill in this spot. I think Yuri flirting with 85. He's getting his mind all fucked up. I also think over the years. He's got a lot of fights. That chin isn't always going to be there, and Jamal Hill cracks. He's accurate. And if he's on point, I think he gets the job done here. But I can't wait for this pure violence. No way it's a boring fight. Two dudes that are absolutely fucking intense and crazy. I love. Evan, what do you got, bub?
What's the over under on this?
Over under probably 1.5.
1.5 has got to be 1.5, right?
It's it's 1.5. The over 1.5 minus 145. The under 1.5 is plus 114, which I find very interesting because I think it's going to go under. I would like the under in that fight.
Yeah, 100%. I rewatched the Yuri fight against God, who did he fight last? Rakic. And was Rakic his last fight, or was it
Poatan was Rakic was his last win. He got head kicked by Poatan his last time out.
That's right. And like, dude, I think he was a little bit more defensively sound against Ferreira the second time because he felt the power of Ferreira, but like a wild man against Rakic, right? Just like inviting to get hit in the head.
Shots. He was like, dude, if I'm eating shots from Ferreira, I can take this dude's shit. And he did.
Yeah, and he did, but he ain't going to do that against Jamal Hill. No. I'm 100% with you. Like, if he's not defensively sound and he gets touched by Jamal Hill, I think we're going to all remember why they call him Sweet Dreams again. Like, especially after getting head kicked into the, nether realm the last time by Poatan. So, I'm 100% with you on that one. I love Jamal Hill as well. I think, he's got that, which he's always had that chip on his shoulder, but I think this is a fight where, he's going to want to prove that he's kind of back in a mainstay in the 205 division. And I think we'll all take notice again.
Exactly. Poatan, they're flirting with Poatan, maybe fighting in heavyweight. Apparently it's not Ankalaev. He's going to fight soon. Jamal Hill wins by knockout. Sign me up for Jamal Hill. Dad. No, you're good. Two title fights. We got Merab Dvalishvili, or Mayrob, as John wants me to call him. Mayrob versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Mayrob is plus 260. Umar minus 325. I'm sure that's moved.
I got this
now.
Earlier.
Yeah.
And it was plus 260 and minus 298 was the lowest. Yeah. So it's between minus 298, minus 335.
Right. So you're getting 3-1 on Umar and Merab. I love this fight. I don't know Merab. I'm obviously friends with Ray Longo and everything, and I support Ray Longo's guys. The problem is with Merab, though, is his whole lead up to this fight as a fan's perspective, it looked like he didn't want this fight. And almost was like, this is a fight where he doesn't want, right? And then the UFC basically forced it on him. Now he's ready to fight, right? And he does very, very old school methods. I found out he cuts weight the old way. He doesn't have a team around him. He fasts for 3 days to cut weight. His cardio is insane. He's been 5 rounds with Corey Sandhagen, who didn't push a pace like Merab's going to do. So I'm very curious to see how Umar reacts to a guy like Merab. I think they're both each other's Achilles heel when it comes to fighting. So I'm very interested to see which one cracks. Merab's been in a lot of 5-round fights. He's fought a lot of fucking elite people. Umar, very talented. I see incredible talent. Will probably be a champion one day. I just don't think it's going to be Saturday. I'm going and still. Merab's going to win. And also, I usually do a green hammer, but since I got Evan on the podcast, I'm going to go a little Evan Longoria bat here.
I love it.
Number 3 that you gave me, this is going to be the green hammer bet. I've been on this all week. I said on the Anakin Florian. I don't think I bet on the Anakin Florian, but I said it. It's marinated. I've liked it even more. This fight will be decided by a split decision. So I'm going split decision green hammer plus 300. I think you bet the split decision. Doesn't matter who wins. Someone's winning by a split decision. I think this is going to be a fucking close fight. I think these rounds are going to be very hard to score, and I think it is going to be tight. And I think the Vegas judges, who are probably no judges are elite, but they are the best at what they do. I see them seeing it either way. Give me split decision or majority. Majority wins as well, but that's less common. 300. Evan Longoria bet to the moon, baby, to the fucking moon.
That is such a pro bet, It just shows how elite you are at this game, And I'm right. Like, man, it's so hard to call. Obviously, I already told you I put in the parlay with the three Russians.
Sure.
So it's kind of hard to go the other way. I feel like, talking about the Americans again, I feel like Merab is obviously more American than, the Russian-born guy, although he is. Georgian, and but he's been here, lives here, Vegas guy, like best friends with Aljo. We all know the story. And to go back to your point about him not wanting the fight in the beginning, it seemed, I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe we need to ask Longo about it on the Anakin Florian, but it's like, what's the deal with their championship fighters getting screwed?
Yeah.
You know, it seems like
they've talked about it. Yeah, Ray's pissed. Yeah. Aljo got forced to O'Malley. Now this seemed a little forced. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and he even said, like, and I think I heard in a couple podcasts ago or whatever, you know, Longo saying, like, he would have taken the fight. He just wanted to wait, and they're not affording, you know, they weren't affording him the time that he needed to, you know, get healthy and get his mind right and be able to basically accept the fight that he wanted as a champion. And he said he would have taken it. So, yeah, I think the disrespect is there, and hopefully, you know, Merab can kind of harness that in his favor, right? And kind of, you know, play that underdog chip on his shoulder, which is a huge number for a guy who's fought the competition that he's fought. I mean, dude, he's fought the best of the best in the division and basically ran right through him. So are we saying that Umar is that much better? Like,
right.
He's, you know, and Merab keeps saying it, like he's fought one ranked guy, you know, for the most part. Like, so, I mean, because I already made the bet and I'm going to root for the parlay, I'm going to take Umar.
Sure.
Would I be upset if Merab wins the fight? No, 100% not. I'd be excited for him. I think that for my own personal favorite fighter, Sean O'Malley, like it's a better thing, right, for Merab to win the fight, because then, you know, we can go round 2 again and run it back, and there's a big build up, and you know, we're not fighting for you know, number 1 contender. We're fighting for a belt again. So
right.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Umar. It's already booked. So hopefully it's and new.
Yeah, great breakdown. I agree with you. Listen, Umar, because Sean's the star. I love Merab, and Umar's connected with Khabib. He's going to have fans, but Sean's the star of the division. He's going to bring, and if you really watch the first fight, which wasn't, you know, it's not going to win the best fight of the year, but it's a lot closer than people thought. So if you run it back with the dislike for each other, that's going to make a lot of money. And then also, if Umar in this fight, say he wins by split decision, then they're going to have to give Merab, and then who's Sean going to fight? My dream matchup in the UFC, like literally the top list besides John Jones and Tom Aspinall, number 2 is Sean O'Malley, Corey Sanhagen.
Yeah, everybody says that, man.
Sean O'Malley needs to fight for the title. I mean, I feel like the perception was he got dominated by Merab, which was false. He didn't. But yeah, it's interesting. It's really going to shake up the division. I hope whoever wins clean. And the judges fuck up and I win my bet, and that way we can get Sean in there, and then they can run it up. All right, main event, Islam Makhachev minus 425 versus Arman Tsarukyan plus 330 rematch. We all know the story. Arman took the original fight on short notice, basically no UFC what am I trying to say? Experience. Thank you. That's not a hard word. I should have came up with that. No UFC experience, but he went in there and he took Islam down. Didn't exchange a lot of strikes. It was more of a grappling, positioning fight, and Islam won that. I think Arman, who's a great wrestler, who's in phenomenal shape, has to learn from that. He has to learn, I can't wrestle with this guy, or I can wrestle him, but why do it? He's coming off a big knockout win over Benny Dariush, or not coming off it. He has a close fight over Charles Oliveira, but in that fight, he looked great on the feet as well. His grappling's there, but in this fight, his approach needs to be striking. But I've been so goddamn impressed with Islam striking lately. It used to be so pushy and afraid. Now he's confident. He slanged and banged with Dustin Poirier. That tricky left hand from the southpaw is fast. It stings you. It's interesting. And Arman, prior to the UFC and in the UFC, has been stunned with shots. Not saying that Islam's going to knock him out, but I like Islam on the feet. Arman is very hook heavy, very explosive. I think like if you are within the fight and focus, like Islam always is, he's going to see those coming. So I like Islam on the feet, and I like Islam on the ground. I think the grappling is going to be very fun if they do decide to grapple a lot. It'll be very fun to see because I think Arman is going to do better than the first fight. But I just think Islam is more dangerous. He has more ways to win. You get him to the ground, I think Islam could snatch up a submission. You know, Arman got really close to getting submitted by Charles Oliveira. He did not. I also think that fight was extremely close if you look at it from a different bird's view. Give me Islam and still. I'm going and still back to back. I'll probably do an and still parlay. That'll be a nice little juice. We got plus money. We got a big 4-1 number. But I like Islam here. I think he's an elite fighter. I think he's, besides John Jones, pound for pound best fighter going right now, Islam Makhachev. I think he gets it done.
Yeah, to go back to the Oliveira fight with Tsarukyan, like, do we think that Oliveira thought he was asleep? Like, I think if he squeezes there, he might put him out. Like, he might win that fight.
I'm not sure what he was thinking.
I don't know. I mean, they both look great. Obviously, Tsarukyan, like the history there. I mean, I when I looked at the number initially when I broke down the fight in my mind, and then I looked at the numbers, I thought it should have been way closer. Like, I thought it should be like maybe a minus 180 to, plus 220, something like that. I couldn't believe how far the numbers were apart. But again, I mean, I think that just speaks to, the experience and the growth and the camp and the mentorship and all that behind Makhachev. I mean, the dude's a stud. The dude's a stud, 100%. I'm with you. I'm with you right there with this, basically the same outcome. I would love to see the fight go, 4 or 5 hard rounds.
Be competitive.
I want to see, I want to see,
for sure.
Yeah, I want to see, and he got pushed by Poirier as well.
For sure, yeah.
You could
Poirier
see that.
looked great.
But I would love to see like some really high level grappling exchanges. I think if it's in the clinch and if it's in close quarters, Tsarukyan has a bit of an advantage there. But I think if it gets to the ground, there's probably a clear grappling submission advantage for Makhachev. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting fight, but I am pretty confident that Makhachev is going to win this fight. And like I said, that's the third leg of the parlay. So
sure.
I think he has too many ways to win. I still think that Tsarukyan has a path to victory.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to have to fight a perfect fight. I don't think that Makhachev has to be perfect to win the fight. I think that Tsarukyan has to be perfect. He might have to land a big shot on the feet, drop him early, kind of, maybe find a club and sub or find, maybe put him out with one big shot where he catches him like he did with Dariush with the knee or something like that. Something out of the ordinary has to happen for Tsarukyan to win the fight. If it goes the normal way, Makhachev is going to win the fight.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think Makhachev, again, I think he's number 2 pound for pound fighter in the world right now, but he's been put out before. Andrea Martinez put him out. That was his first loss. And then he didn't get put out by Volkanovski in their first fight, but he got put down. So Tsarukyan's got power, right? And Tsarukyan by KO is plus 800. Listen, 8-1, $25. I'll sign up for it. All right, so that's it. That's the card. We're going to get to our locks. Before we get to our locks, remind everyone, number 3, Green Hammer is split decision. Umar and Merab going to a split. Doesn't matter who wins. Just play it by split, plus 300. Slime ball parlay. I had a 3-legger. It is now down to 2 because I love Zach Reese against Dumas, but he's out. Can't play him at plus money. So it's Jamal Hill and it's Carol Hossa. That's plus 153. Not bad. It already been placed. And then Evan Longoria has a parlay as well right now. It's the Russian parlay. It is the Russian roulette parlay.
The Russian parlay, yes, sir.
Islam, Umar, and Tagir Ulanbekov. That's plus 125-ish, depending what book you go, but still plus money. So we gave you 2 parlays there. All right, Ev. So we got locks. You know how this goes. You've been here twice. I'll let you start because you're the champ. You've beat me twice. You get to pick dog, mortal, or send them first. I can't pick who you pick. You can't pick who I pick. So whatever.
You're gonna let me go first on this one too. I didn't even circle these. But
so the most confident guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take. Well, what are we calling Kevin Holland?
Kevin Holland, I'll give you. He's technically a favorite. So because he's minus 120. Let me see what the actual current line is because he might have dipped into the plus money.
Yeah, because I got him plus 100, minus 105. I mean, he's mostly minus, so we'll call him
minus 112. He's a slight favorite, but you know what? Since you're doing me a favor by being here, I'll give you the dog if you want it. I'm not sniffing around him as a dog, but if you want him as a dog, I'll
No. Okay. I'm gonna pick a dog first.
Don't be mine.
Well, I know who you're gonna pick. All right. I'm gonna give you the one you want. So if you give me Kevin Holland as the dog, you're gonna take Zachary Reese. I know you are.
You're Kevin Holland. I'll give you dog lock for Kevin Holland. Absolutely. And of course, I'm taking big country Zach Reese as my dog lock. He was going to be in the slime ball. I can't put almost a 2-1 in the slime ball, especially going against kind of an unknown Russian. This dude can come in and be the next fucking Arman Tsarukyan. Who knows?
Yeah,
all right. So I'm going to go mortal lock here. Mortal lock. I was 75% of my mortal locks last year. There's a couple to choose from, but I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, right? I know chicks, right? I could go the chick route, go Carol Hosa. But Jamal Hill, sweet dreams. I've been on that since that fight got announced. I love Yuri. I was a big component of getting Yuri in the UFC. I thought he'd do well. He's a former champion. But I just think Jamal Hill's getting a little disrespected. That's a low number. Mortal locked him up. Evan, who's your mortal lock, bud?
I'm gonna go with Guskov. Just a boring fight, but I think he wins the fight pretty easily. So there's not too many other. I mean, Makhachev could be right there as well. You know what? Give me Makhachev. Give me Makhachev.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could go Peyton Talbot, but you would get booed in the comment section because it's too high. But Makhachev, I put a lot of money on him on the Ink and Florian too. I think we get 3,000 now for pay-per-views. Pretty sure I put over a G on Makhachev too. I'm confident in that. That's a fight I've been marinating since it got announced too. And I love Tsarukyan. I love his improvements, but I'm like, I just think Makhachev is the dude right now. All right, send him home. Evan, who do you think is going to finish? Submission, knockout, doesn't matter, cut, or quit, whatever. Who's getting that fucking finish, bub?
Well, so you've already taken Jamal Hill. Am I allowed to take him for this? Or he's just done?
I wiped him out, right. Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna go with well, I'll just take Guskov because I was going to use him for the last one, but I think he gets a finish in that fight.
By knockout.
Yeah.
My send him home. I always get in trouble doing send him homes when they're plus money, right? To Peyton Talbot by knockout, round 1. I gave that out. That'd be interesting there, but again, that's just such a huge number. Diego Ferreira at plus money. I really, truly believe. Oh, now I'm second guessing myself like a fucking idiot. You know what?
Should have taken Almeida.
Nah, fuck Almeida. That guy's burned me. Give me Benny Dariush just to send him home. Ooh, I love you, Money Moicano, but I think if Benny wins, it's going to win by knockout. I think it's the only way he can win. All right, Evan, thank you for doing this so much, buddy. This is our 3rd time doing it. It gets easier and easier. You're a fucking class act. Thank you so much for being on this little old show of mine, buddy. And I'll be excited to hear a bet. We got a chili bet off at Ducky's in Tampa. So you come up with your other end. We'll see. That is for Benny and Moicano. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is on that. And thanks you, buddy. This will be up to Thursday. We're doing this on Wednesday. This will be up tomorrow. All right, I'll tag you in it.
Okay, let's do it. Much love, brother. Thanks for having me.
You're the best. Thank